What is a term? Well, it depends on what area of maths you're talking about. Algebraically, a term's a sequence of elements, like just things, functions, or actual numbers that are separated by multiplication and division. Each term is then separated by a plus or minus sign. In this example, these are the terms. Notice how they're separated by plus and minus signs. Terms themselves are separated by addition and subtraction, but are one big term if they're separated by multiplication and division. English is funky, so if you're talking about complex numbers, you might sometimes distinguish terms by a division, but I don't really care about that right now because we're not talking about complex numbers. I don't really care, unless you do. Then I might care. Maybe. A little bit later, when I do care. The distributive property says when I have three variables, A, B, and C, and one, A, is multiplying the sum of the other two, B and C in this case, we can expand the brackets, basically get rid of them, by multiplying all of the terms inside the brackets by whatever's on the outside of the brackets. So A lots of B plus C becomes A lots of B plus A lots of C. By this logic, if we have a bunch of terms, again separated by plus and minus signs, each with a common factor, we could turn it the other way back into something with brackets, all multiplied by some common factor. Think about it with this example. I have 6 lots of x added to 3 lots of x. If I take the x out of both these terms, I can put it outside some brackets and have 6 plus 3 inside, which becomes 9. Would you agree that 6 lots of x plus 3 lots of x is 9 lots of x? It's a rhetorical question because of course you agree. A FOIL is still a distributive property, but just the term on the outside has 2 terms that we can't, add together to become 1. This one is especially tricky, but I call it a FOIL for a reason. To expand it, so I get rid of all the brackets, we have to do 4 operations which can be expressed as an acrostic poem of FOIL itself, and we're going to be left with 4 terms instead of 2. If there's 2 sets of brackets, a cool way to remember it is that the number of terms you should be left with at the end is the product of the 2 numbers of terms in each bracket. So if we have brackets with 3 terms, then another brackets with 3 terms, we're going to have 9 terms at the end. If we have a bracket with 4 terms and a bracket with 4 terms, we'll have 16 terms at the end. Where was I? Back to FOIL. It stands for firsts, outers, inners, lasts. By multiplying the corresponding terms, we should be left with AC plus AD plus BC plus BD. This will always be correct, and it's the only way that you can correctly expand this equation. Turning 4 terms back into brackets is a whole other can of worms, but that's basically all a quadratic, so if you haven't done that yet, you'll be looking forward to that soon. Why is FOIL like this? Well, we can think of it like a distributive property. If I say the first pair of brackets is at A, and the second pair of brackets are B and C, I can multiply each of the individual terms in the second brackets by the first whole brackets, which leaves me with 2 distributive properties. If I expand those 2 distributive properties, I'm left with the 4 terms that we'd already expressed before in the FOIL format. So whichever way floats your boat, you can do it both ways. Have a nice day.